So now that we got you all warmed up, now that we got you a heads up as to what you're going to be listening to here, let's get started with women's soccer with their season recap. And before we even get into this 2023 season, I always like to take perspective as to what we did in the 2022 season, the previous season, kind of setting the stage for what I'm about to tell you here. So in 2022, the Golden Grizzlies finished an overall record, very impressive, 8-4-7, and with a conference record of 5-2-3. But then they come into, or they finish up this most recent season 5-6-7 overall, 3-2-5 in conference. Not the season that they wanted, no doubt, in terms of the final result. So we'll go through game by game, a little chunk of game by chunk of game, to kind of give you guys a flow and a sense of how the season went, some kind of storylines here, who scored and what. We'll give you all the spark notes of these games and throughout their season. So we'll start it, not in their exhibition season because it's exhibition. We'll start with their opening regular season match at home against Kent State. They had a couple of matchups within the MAC to start off their season. The first one, we go all the way to August 17th for this one where they start their season against the Kent State Golden Flashes in Rochester. The Golden Grizzlies started the season off a little bit rough with a 2-1 loss to the Kent State Golden Flashes. Then 3 days later, that Sunday, August 20th, they faced Eastern Michigan Eagles, where they evened up their record and got right with a 1-0 victory over the Eastern Michigan Eagles. In that game, the goal scorer for the Golden Grizzlies was currently loading. It was Anuhea Aluli to score in the first 5 minutes, assisted by Macy Waranga, to give them that early lead going into the rest of the game, and they finished it up with that as well. And if my memory serves me, looking through here, there was a red card issued to the Eastern Michigan Eagles early in that match, and I remember the Grizz Vision with head coach Juan Pablo Favero, where he mentioned that sometimes when that happens, ironically, it could be an advantage, or rather, excuse me, it was a red card issued to the Golden Grizzlies. So they were down a person throughout the game, but what head coach was mentioning is that sometimes that can ironically give you an advantage, because when you, as the opposing team, as the Eastern Michigan Eagles, you see the Golden Grizzlies go down one person, and maybe you relax a little bit, and maybe you think a little bit less of your opponent just because of the numbers advantage. And he was talking about how that mentally could cause the team to slip up. But with the Golden Grizzlies down a person, they got to pay extra attention, put more into it because they're down a person. So you kind of see the shift in dynamic there, and he talked all about that after the match in the Grizz Vision in that win for the Golden Grizzlies, 1-0 over Eastern Michigan. And I'm not going to go into this far in detail of every game here. It's just that's one that I remember covering late in that August. So then they head onto the road for a little while to start off the academic school year. August 24th, 27th, and 31st, they were on the road against Northwestern, where they suffered a 7-0 loss. They went to Northern Illinois, where they tied 0-0. Ohio State, they made the trip down to Columbus to unfortunately have 6 goals scored on them for a 6-0 loss to the Buckeyes. Then they wrap up that road trip with Illinois State against... Now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not the Cardinals, they're the Redbirds? I forget Illinois State. It looks like a Cardinal. But either way, they tied against the Redbird, the vague, non-specific Redbird team. 2-2 was their tie against Illinois State. So they come out with 2 losses and 2 ties in that road trip to start the season. And then they have one final out-of-conference game, or excuse me, they wrap up their out-of-conference in September 7th, hosting Western Michigan, where they unfortunately suffered a 3-0 loss against the Broncos. All 3 of those goals by the Broncos scored in the second half as well. So they had it tied at halftime, but couldn't hold on. But then they get back on track. September 10th, on a Sunday, they went over to Toledo, just crossing the border down south, to come away with a 2-1 victory over the Toledo Rockets. We'll give you more of the details of this game here, as it was tied 0-0 in the first half, and then all the scoring occurred in that second half. In the 52nd minute, it was Macy Waranga scoring on a penalty kick to give the Golden Grizzlies their early 1-0 lead. But then it would quickly go back to a tie game, as Grace Tursky of the Toledo Rockets was able to tie it up. And then we go all the way into the 86th minute. Time is winding down. Teams want the win, and especially Oakland on the road. They want to come back with some good news. And that good news would be found in the 86th minute, assisted by Olivia Darnell. Jana Frazier would send the ball to the back of the net to give the Golden Grizzlies the 1-goal lead and the 1-goal victory over the Toledo Rockets. As the headline for this match was Jana Frazier's game winner leads Golden Grizzlies past Toledo in non-conference finale. So Golden Grizzlies, they got right to finish out their out-of-conference play. And then we head now into the Horizon League, where we start off against the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons, a tie 1-1 in a match where it was Macy Warenka getting another goal, stacking on to her stats early in the season. Julia Zangirl in the keeper's spot with 2 saves in that match, as well as they start off their Horizon League season with a draw against the Mastodons. That game was on September 17th. Now we're getting into the school year a little bit. Everyone's trying to get their footing into their semester. Then we go now to September 21st. Thursday night, they host Northern Kentucky in a game where it was a exact match of the previous match. It was a 1-1 tie hosting Northern Kentucky. It was Frankie Mudd that was able to get the goal against the Northern Kentucky Nors. The headline for this one, Frankie Mudd's late heroics guide the Golden Grizzlies to a 1-1 draw against NKU. Let's go a little bit into more of the recap here of that match, all of which was happening late into the second half. The 71st minute is when Northern Kentucky was able to get their first goal to get their early lead. But then it was Frankie Mudd in the 88th minute that was able to get a goal assisted by Julia Zangirl. That was all she wrote for that match there. If I'm not mistaken, this was the match. I remember being on the sideline for that one where it was late in the game, and Oakland is just trying to get these shots up and trying to, or get, what do you say, up or forward? But yes, this was the match. I was in attendance there, and I even did the Grizz Vision for that one, which was a lot of fun too. But late in the match, it was Julia Zangirl from the keeper spot assisting all the way past midfield, and we'll call it, just to kind of draw the map for you guys, it was about like middle of the attacking half for the Oakland, and Frankie Mudd sees the keeper too far forward and just launches one right over the head of the keeper to get the equalizing goal. You guys, if you go on GoldenGrizzlies.com, you'll be able to see the tweet that included the video of it. It was sweet. I asked head coach Favero on whether, was that part of the plan? Like, was the plan to have Frankie shoot it from that far? Is that something you guys know that she could do, essentially? And he told me that, yeah, it's something they like to keep a little bit of a secret if they could, but he trusts Frankie to be able to take the shot when she sees it, and it was well timed and well placed, and that saved Oakland from giving Northern Kentucky 3 points and ending it in a draw 1-1. Frankie Mudd, two shots on goal, one of them going through to total that one. Yeah, you don't see assists from a keeper all that often, but that one was pretty sweet. So we'll continue through the Horizon League season here. They are on the road in Ohio just on September 24th and the 30th. Cleveland State was their first of the road trip. They would come away victorious against the Vikings 1-0, as it was Ali Tefen to get the goal and Julia Zangirl with 4 saves. We'll go a little bit into detail of this one as well. Ali Tefen, listen, you're starting to see a trend here. 89th minute, Ali Tefen was able to get to end what was a scoreless tie, giving Oakland the 1-goal lead with only a couple minutes left for the Cleveland State Vikings to respond. As it was detailed, shot to top left corner from the top of the box off of a failed corner kick. So Oakland able to almost steal one away to give themselves 3 points to start to climb in the ranks of the Horizon League a little bit. We're seeing that Oakland is never out of any of these matches here, no matter how it looks. As long as they keep it close, then Oakland, at least in Horizon League play, is able to get it done, is able to close it out. So then we go to Wright State. Unfortunately, the reverse happened for Oakland in terms of the score. They suffered a 1-0 loss to the Wright State Raiders. That last goal coming in the 41st minute is when Wright State was able to break the scoreless tie and hold on to that lead for the rest of the match. Oakland, now into the month of October 5th, returns home to face Robert Morris, where they would end this one in a 1-1 tie. Going into the details of this one here, it was a 52nd minute where Robert Morris was able to get the early lead. But then later off, this one wasn't all the way in like the 89th minute or anything, but in the 74th minute, Frankie Mudd gets her third goal of the season to bring it to a tie. Unfortunately, Oakland unable to bring it back to the victorious side of things, and it looks like they played this one in the Dome via the picture on GoldenGrizzlies.com. But either way, Oakland able to stay afloat here, getting 1 point against Robert Morris at home in the Dome. They then traveled on the road October 8th and the 12th against Youngstown State, where Oakland got a 2-1 victory over the Penguins. This one, Mason Waranga, another penalty kick goal, this time in the 6th minute, very early on, to give Oakland the early 1-0 lead, and they would continue to add on top of it. And who else scored that second goal? It was Mason Waranga again. This one assisted by Olivia Darnell to give them a 2-0 victory in the 29th minute. Youngstown State was able to cut into that one in the 47th minute, but that's where the scoring would be frozen for the rest of the match as Oakland holds on to get that 2-1 victory over Youngstown State. And continuing on that road trip, IUPUI was their next destination. This one, another 2-1 victory for the Golden Grizzlies, this time against the Jaguars. Where in this match here, not the box score, give me the recap. Looking at the recap here, it was a 28th minute where IUPUI was the one to get the early lead. But then later in the second half, just a couple minutes out of the second half, Oakland was able to not only equalize the game, but to gain the 1-goal lead. Anuhea Aluli would get a goal in the 50th minute, assisted by Brooklyn Foster, and then Frankie Mudd would get another goal, this one being the one to give them a lead, assisted by Aluli as well. Her 4th goal of the season at the time, that second one coming in just the 55th minute. So within 5 minutes, Oakland went from being down 1-0 to being up 2-1, which is where they would hold the score all the way until the end, as Oakland will win back-to-back road games in Horizon League play, both of which 2-1 final scores. We get later now into October. The Horizon League season is starting to wrap up here, and the teams from Wisconsin come to make their visit to the Oakland soccer field. Green Bay was the first one up on October 15th. This one was the homecoming game. I remember being on the call there for WXOU, and unfortunately, for the sake of me being on the radio call, it was a 0-0 tie against the Green Bay Phoenix. They then, after that, will welcome in on October 21st, the Milwaukee Panthers. Now, I want to pause here for a little bit because the Milwaukee Panthers have been a dominant force in Horizon League play for some years now. If I'm not mistaken, either last year or the year before, Milwaukee was literally undefeated in Horizon League play, and they only suffered one loss in out-of-conference, too. Milwaukee's women's soccer is sublime, is fantastic, and dominant in the Horizon League. But when the Golden Grizzlies host them in the second-to-last game of the regular season, Oakland was able to hold on Senior Day against the Panthers for, unfortunately for the viewer, a 0-0 tie against the best team in the league. Not allowing Milwaukee to climb the ranks further with 3 points, Oakland holds on Senior Day in a scoreless tie to bring us to their final game of the regular season. Now, I want to add a little seasoning onto this one. I want to add a little bit of context, a little sprinkle of context onto this one here. So at this point in the season, Oakland is sitting at either 5th or 6th place. Or, excuse me, either 6th or 7th place. And the reason that's significant is because for the Horizon League tournament, it's not like all the other sports where all the teams get in and it's just a matter of seeding. Only the top 6 teams get into the Horizon League tournament for a chance to win the league. So if you're in the 6th seed, that's the last spot. That's the last ticket to go to send you to the tournament. And Oakland and I forget my memory, was sitting either 6th or 7th place. But the team that was sharing that spot, kind of right next to them, also fighting for that last spot in the Horizon League tournament, was Detroit Mercy. The rivalry game would be the match that decides who goes to the league, or who goes to the tournament. This one taking place Wednesday, October 25th, in Detroit at Titan Field. The battle for 6th place unfortunately went to the Titans. Oakland, in essentially an elimination game, was unable to bring it home and to get them into the tournament for an unfortunate ending to the regular season. This one started off with Detroit Mercy going up very early in the 3rd minute, the last second of the 3rd minute, that is. It was the Titans that would get the first goal and start the match off right away with Oakland chasing, trying to equalize, trying to get that win to leap them into 6th place and into the tournament. Putri Sazali in the 40th minute would be the one to give that equalizer, as she was assisted by Jules Karkaba on that goal to bring it to 1-1 in the 40th minute. It would remain tied all the way until the 67th minute, where the final goal was scored by the Titans to give them that 2-1 lead. And unfortunately, Oakland was unable to get another one to equalize it, sending them home early and without a chance in the Horizon League tournament. An unfortunate ending to what was a great regular season. Oakland showing nonstop fight throughout the season, late second heroics in multiple games in Horizon League play, also to keep them afloat, to keep them with a chance to get into the tournament. But unfortunately, it was our nearby rivals that took it away from us. So that brings us to that final record, 5, 6, and 7 overall, 3, 2, and 5 in conference, ending in 7th place in the Horizon League. Let's go now into the final standings. It was Milwaukee that went 7-0-3 to take first place. IUPUI not far behind, 5-1-4. There was Northern Kentucky, 4-2-4 in 3rd place. Robert Morris equal in points, but 4th place. Then Wright State and Detroit Mercy were the teams that headed into the Horizon League tournament. We'll take a look now as to the regular season awards to see how our Golden Grizzlies stacked up with the rest of the league on an individual player-by-player level. Oakland would unfortunately not see the first team, but they would see multiple in the second team. Frankie Mudd, Putri Sazali, and Macy Waranga at forward, defender, and midfielder respectively were able to make the all-league second team in the Horizon League. The freshman team would see 2 Golden Grizzlies, as well as Olivia Darnell and Julia Zangirl would stake their claims in the all-freshman team. And it was Ali Tefend that would be co-winner of the All-League Sportsmanship Award, which is an absolute honor because it speaks not only to your skill on the field, but it also speaks to how you carry yourself with that skill. So a great award and a great season for the Golden Grizzlies. That'll wrap up this women's soccer segment, at least for the history's sake of it. Let's get now into a little bit more of the modern news here. So it was announced on February 12th, a bit of a shocker, at least to me, covering the team, that head coach Juan Pablo Favero would retire from coaching. And if you guys remember what I was talking about last week for the men's soccer team, and if you don't, then you could go back on YouTube. We got the segment by itself uploaded. There was a bit of a weird storyline in regards to Oakland's men's soccer coaching, but the women's soccer coaching also seeing the loss of their head coach. This one, a little less drama, but to a simple retirement. Announced on February 12th, and the press release reads, Juan Pablo Favero has announced that he will be retiring from coaching to pursue a career as a mental performance coach within the Arizona complex of the Major League Baseball's Cleveland Guardians. And that one is fascinating to me, because if you've ever met Juan Pablo Favero, you're immediately floored with who he is. He's just, to me, is such a captivating person. And, you know, just bursting at the seams with like wisdom and, you know, kind of a we'll call out of this world thinker. I'll put it in that way. And if you want to get a little bit of a taste of that, Harja Buttar, our former sports director, did a full interview with him in his office on WXOU Sports. So go to the YouTube channel and check that one out if you want to see who I'm talking about for Juan Pablo Favero. But he was just such a captivating person for me. I always loved hearing what he had to say, because his primary focus throughout his entire coaching career and throughout just his journey as a whole, mental health was such an enormous focus in everything he did. He was in the realm of meditation, and to truly understand and to listen with his players of what's going on with their lives and with their mentality, and the importance of having that one right to be able to perform on the pitch at your best. I always love that. And you wish that, and it's not to say that coaches don't value this, but he wears this on his sleeve. And this is what he is about. And I always loved that about him. And it's such a shame to see him leave from the Golden Grizzlies, but for him to kind of continue into that realm, especially going into the field of baseball, where that is such a critical piece as to how the teams perform. So you know that he's going to make such a great impact for the Cleveland Guardians as a mental health performance coach. He's going to do great things for the major leagues. I look forward to hearing from him and see what he's doing. But a big thank you to Coach Favero, coaching here for 7 years from 2017 to 2023, and having a great impact on the university as a whole. So we wish you well, Coach Favero. We know you're going to do great things. So where does that bring us now for Oakland women's soccer in terms of the coaching? Well, on May 10th, they were able to fill the vacancy with a new hire, former assistant coach of the Miami Hurricanes, head coach Devin Zvosec. Now, I'm going to need a little bit of a help with the pronunciation there, as I've never seen a name spelled Z-V-O-S-E-C. That's kind of the pronunciation there. But Coach Devin Zvosec is now the new head coach for the Golden Grizzlies, having history, like I mentioned, the University of Miami Hurricanes, as he has assistant coaching experience there, many recruiting responsibilities as well, not only at Miami, but at James Madison University as well. So he comes in with a lot of coaching experience with that, and literally just announced today, I just happened to be scrolling through Twitter, and I saw that Oakland was able to sign a player from James Madison. And shortly after, Coach Zvosec was nice enough to follow me on Twitter, so I really appreciated that one, Coach. But he retweeted that one soon after the announcement. But he gives us a little bit of a heads up as to who we could see from Mia Tuca, recent transfer from James Madison. Coach says the Sun Belt Conference tournament finalist, an NCAA tournament experience, but most importantly, a phenomenal person. So excited to add Mia to Oakland women's soccer. Looking forward to see her contribute to our new standard. The future is golden. Golden heart, black heart, bear head, soccer ball. As far as the emojis he uses. That was literally like 48 minutes ago as of recording here. It's about 12:30 here at WXOU. And he's already on the recruiting trail. He's checking out the Michigan Jaguars and Michigan Jaguars against the Michigan Stars. He was at that match the other day. And so he already on the road here for the Golden Grizzlies. I look forward to meeting him. I look forward to see the fruits of his labor coming up for this 2024 season for Oakland women's soccer. It's going to be an exciting one, no doubt. And we look forward to it here on WXOU Sports. And be sure, I'm going to say it again, subscribe to WXOU Sports to hear the games live, because we're going to be doing those broadcasts one way or another, and we're going to be able to get you guys Golden Grizzlies action. So that one will finally wrap up this segment of the Oakland women's soccer season review, and I look forward into this coming season right here on the GioMoShow 88.3 FM WXOU. We're going to take a short break here before we get into the USPBL. We're going to switch it up and go into baseball here and see why my Diamond Hoppers continue to stand tall at the number one spot in the USPBL after 4 weeks. We'll get to that, as well as Oakland swim and dive going to Olympic trials after this break here on the GioMoShow.